Hello, this is Sean Copeland, Chairman and CEO of Regent Bank, and I am back with you today continuing our series on the Priority Promise Life Management System and how we can basically manage our lives where we put first things first, we live our priorities, and we hold ourselves accountable. So what we talked about previously are, number one, we want to make a list of all the roles that we live in our lives: personal, professional, community, family. Then once we do that, we want to prioritize those roles into A, B, and C. A is absolutely critical to our life. B is important. We think it's important, but not absolutely critical. And C are things that we may enjoy doing, but we could do without. We don't have to do them. They're not critical to our life. So once we've done that, here's where the rubber meets the road, okay? You've got these roles, you've got them prioritized. Now what we're going to do is we are going to sit down, and this will take you some time, but you are going to go role by role and figure out how much time do I need to be successful within this role. So let me just give you some examples. Exercise, okay? So in our personal, one of our personal roles was to have adequate exercise. So how much do you need? Well, for me, that's about 45 minutes a day. So I've got to find somewhere on my calendar for 45 minutes a day for exercise. On a weekly basis, I need to call my parents and my sister every week. So that might take 30 minutes. So we're going to find 30 minutes a week in which we are going to call certain family members. You know, I might, on a weekly basis, set aside a certain amount of time to prepare for the sermon that I'm going to give at church. That might take 2 hours. Where's that going to go? On a monthly basis, maybe I want to visit my grandparents on a monthly. The grandson role comes into play. To be a good grandson, I probably don't need to go every week. You know, maybe I want to have a 5-minute call each week, but to actually visit, if I just had a couple of hours a month, I think my grandparents would be happy. I would feel happy because I'm caught up with them. So you're going to have certain roles that have daily time constraints, spending time with your kids, spending time with your spouse. Certain ones are going to have weekly time constraints, and certain ones are going to have monthly. And then once you've figured out, you know, the amount of time that each of these roles takes, here's where the rubber meets the road. You put it on your calendar. So you sit down with your calendar and go, okay, if I am doing an adequate job as a husband, I spend 30 minutes a day talking with my wife and 2 hours a week on a date night, you know, and 1 weekend a quarter where we get away. Let's put that on the calendar. As a dad, as a son, as a CEO, as a business developer. So you put all those on the calendar, and here is probably what will happen. You're going to have more time requirements than you have time. And then all of a sudden, that's when you have to make a decision on how are you going to fit those things onto your calendar. So we're going to talk about that more next time, but for purposes of this time, what I want you to do is I want you to take all of your roles, take the time requirements, and try to put them on your calendar. We'll talk about what we do next Friday. Thank you so much for joining us, and we'll talk to you next week.